This year for International Women's Day, we are featuring one of our own here at Asaase Radio who has worked tirelessly around the clock to leave a mark on the digital part of our departments. Her name is Winifred Lartey. Winifred, good to see you. Pleasure meeting you again and again.
Good to see you, Fritz.
Right. My first impression of you, or my first memory of you, was when I joined Asaase Radio quite early. And I was at the cafeteria going to get some food to eat. And you're very bubbly, very talkative. You're a chatterbox. Have you always been like that?
I don't recall that memory, but I think that's how I've always been. I'm always bubbly, laughing, smiling, and always talking to people.
Right. I see that. Now, what are some of the things that really inspire you? So, in inspiration-wise, what are some of the things that really inspire you a lot?
Family. I love to work for someone to acknowledge. That may sound like cliche, but I love to work for people to look up to that kind of work and be like, okay, this is something that I could do or something that I could replicate. But just working in a mess and not, having anyone looking forward to seeing that work produced is something that doesn't push or doesn't encourage me. But if I have people that are looking at me and saying that, okay, this is something that Winifred is doing, so I could do it, that's all the energy that I need to continue doing that work.
Fantastic. I was just going to ask you what keeps you awake at night, because you told me you are not a heavy sleeper.
Yeah.
And so what keeps you awake at night?
Okay, my dog creaks a lot. So anytime I hear someone opening the gate or someone just walking, I can hear footsteps too very, very well. So if I'm sleeping and you're just walking, I'm just going to jump off the bed and ask you, what are you doing here? So I don't really sleep heavily. My eyes are closed and my mind is just working.
Fantastic. It's International Women's Day, and here at Asaase Radio, we really want to recognize the work and the achievement of women like you who are really, really working hard and leaving your mark on the digital departments. You have been selected for a fellowship that has got all of Asaase really excited. Tell me about the fellowship.
Okay, so someone sent me this fellowship, and believe me, this is not my first fellowship. I love applying for fellowships because as a journalist, if you only get stuck to your 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, you're going to be redundant. You're just going to come to work, do what you're supposed to do, and just leave. But when you apply for fellowships, award schemes, mentorship programs, it just helps you to be able to be in a room where there are hundreds of journalists from different countries, from different communities talking about their experiences, stories that they've written that inspire them. When I see or when I hear this kind of stories, it just enlightens and just makes me want to do more. So I just love hearing people's stories. And fellowships give you the opportunity. So I just heard of this fellowship and I'm like, okay, let me just try it. And after applying the next day or 2 days later, I got an email saying that I've been shortlisted. So we're 80. Now you have to go through a rigorous screening down again to, reduce us to 40 because we are from different African countries. We are Ghana, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and I think one other country, Burkina Faso. So 80 people, and we had an interview, and luckily the 40, I was part of the 40. And the only female from Ghana, Ghanaian fellows are 5.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great achievement.
Well, yeah.
And a really fantastic feather in your cap. Now, where were you when you received the announcement or when you received the information that you actually been selected for the fellowship?
So this is true story. I was at rehearsals. I was training 3 girls for spoken word. I do spoken word at church. So I was just listening to one of them. So I was just going through my phone while she was ministering. I was just watching and pressing my phone like I always do. Then I got the email. Then I stopped her and I screamed. And I just told her about it. I just feel like sharing these kind of things encourages people, encourages them to do more. When they see that, okay, Winifred is doing something more, or someone that I know is being or learning other things, it just encourages them to do. So I just told her about it and I explained to her what fellowships and everything. I just saw it and I just screamed and I told her about it. And I just, went on with the rehearsals.
Fantastic. How is this fellowship likely to benefit you? I mean, you're a woman in the field of journalism. And how is this likely to have an impact on the work you do here at Asaase Radio?
Now, fact-checking is very crucial in journalism. My office. If you come to our office, you see the word. It says, avoid, do you remember what it says?
Yeah.
Avoid fake news, because it's like COVID. Yeah. So in today's world, if you are not being careful about the information you put out there, it could cost you your career. Verifying is very key, making sure that claims by ministers, politicians, educationists, people in expertise, making sure that the things they are saying are accurate. So I just was like, okay, let me learn how to really make sure that the information I'm putting out there on asaaseradio.com is really the accurate one. And obviously, in his training. So that's what Kwame Karikari is doing, training me to make sure that every article that I put out there on asaaseradio.com has been fact-checked, has been proven, has gone through the process to make sure that this is the truth and the only truth.
Have you always wanted to be a journalist?
This may sound like a cliche answer, but yes.
Whoa.
I mean, I was 8 years old when I manifested wanting to be in the media space. And I sometimes forget that I prayed for this. I sometimes forget that this is something I've always wanted to do. But each time I remember, I just bounce back and give grace. Yeah.
But you're very articulate and really eloquent. Why didn't you go into broadcast, but you decided to do online? You don't want to be, I mean, you're a beautiful woman.
Oh,
and you could be on TV or be on radio, but you decided to choose online. Was there a special reason for that?
You can fight me on this, but writing is better than talking. Writing is better than talking.
Right.
I mean, it's beautiful for you to put down your thoughts, just put it on paper. Talking is easy. Writing is not. I mean, someone could say that that's not true, but writing is just beautiful. It's just bringing words together, putting it on paper. Speaking is the same thing, but with speaking, when you say it, it's just gone. But writing, when I publish a story on asaaseradio.com, it will be there for 10 years, 20 years. My kids will come and refer that story, come and read it and say that, okay, mommy wrote this kind of a story. But, if it's radio or TV, you just see it for a few minutes and it's gone.
No.
Okay, I was expecting that.
No.
I wouldn't say anything.
No. Because for TV, there are also records.
Well,
I mean, of course, they are all, I mean, we have videos on YouTube and whatnot.
So you don't think online is better?
Well, they are all better. They are all mediums of media. And yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
But online is superior.
Well, I think that's up for debate.
Sure.
And we can go on and on about that. But one other thing I really also want to ask you is, women's representation in the media space. For International Women's Day this year, they are putting the focus on inclusion in the workspaces. Do you feel that the media space, especially online, has been very accommodating and really embracing of women who enter into the space, hence inclusion?
And I don't know if this is a clear example, but even in my department, we're just two ladies. It's sad to say, and the ladies, we want to do the talking, we want to be on TV, on camera, because we feel like that's where the exposure comes with. But online, ladies don't really endeavor. And truth be told, I wanted to do radio. I wanted to be there on the spotlight. But when I tested online, that's the word, tested online for a month, I loved it. So sometimes you may come with a perception that, okay, I want to be popular, I want to do TV, I want to do radio. Try every aspect of journalism. Do the social media aspect, do the online aspect, do the TV, do the radio, and come down to the part where you really, really feel like this is where I feel comfortable. But if you get stuck in one and you say that, okay, that's what I've always dreamt of, being TV, so that's what I have to force and go into. If it doesn't happen, that means you feel like that's a dream failed. But if you accept other channels and you get there, it's just a beautiful story. It makes the story whole beautiful and the process really amazing.
Well, now, do you also feel like in the workspace you've been given enough opportunity, especially because you're a woman? Do you feel the field has been evened so that you're at par with your male counterparts?
It could get better. Especially in my place, my superior is amazing. He's incredible. He gives me the chance. I mean, this opportunity was sent to me by him, the fellowship opportunity. So that means he's someone that wants to see his colleagues grow, his people grow. Other bosses may not want to or may not care if you're always here and always stagnant in your role. But people like him and people, I'm sure the other media assistant people were also pushing their staff to apply for stuff, to go and fight, to go and work, to go and expose themselves and bring it back here. Because this fellowship that I'm learning, I'm bringing it back here to Asaase. Yeah. And we're all going to benefit from fact-checking. You understand? So I think that it all depends on who is an authority. They are the ones to push. They are the ones to ensure and make sure that their staff are also going and fighting out and being at par with the men.
Yeah. So you feel like we can do more in terms of inclusion, giving more roles and more duties to women in the workplace.
Absolutely.
International Women's Day, generally around the world, is marked to, propel women to take up places in the, in boardrooms, in executive rooms, and all of that. as a woman, do you feel like sometimes you are intimidated by your male counterparts in terms of what you can do?
I have never, ever felt intimidated by any man. And I really hope there's no girl out there feeling intimidated by a man or feeling that, okay, this man or this gentleman is around, why are you going to pick me? Girls, let's fight for the opportunities. If you sit back and wait for them to come, they wouldn't come. If you sit back and say that, you know, if they want to get me, they'll come for me. If they want to choose me, they'll come for me. If you do not go and tell them to choose you, they will choose other people over you. Especially the men. The men are aggressive when it comes to fighting in their career. Women, we should also be that kind of passionate about it. Else they're always going to look over us.
What has been the most fulfilling part about your job?
I think one of the most inspiring stories that I did, it was about climate, actually. And I spoke to a farmer in the Northeast region, and during the interview, he started crying. And I'm a softie. That kind of a thing is always going to get me to tear up. He started crying, expressing himself about, you know, how he's been suffering in his field. And when people share their stories with you, and they feel comfortable to share their stories with you in interviews, it is really something that is very pricey. Because if you are doing an interview, you need someone to talk to. Okay, and if it's a one-on-one interview, when you're looking at the person you're talking to, and they are really telling you how they beat through or how they, you know, manage their day, how they fight for their day-to-day, it's just something that you can't take for granted. I think interviewing, you know, people, the grassroots people, is one of the best things in journalism.
Walk me through your day. So typically when you come in the morning, walk me through the routine.
Okay, so I get here at 8, sometimes 8:30 when I'm very happy, I get here at 9. So it just depends on how I'm feeling. But usually I'm supposed to get here at 8. I get here at 8 and I set up my laptop. I have to join the newsroom meeting to talk about stories for the day, things that are happening, or stories that we can use and channel during our 12 o'clock report and our 5 p.m. big bulletin. So after joining that, I have to come back to my office and just pile up the stories that I have correspondents that I attend to. I edit their stories. So our 10 regions that we have, our 16 regions, the correspondents, we have every correspondent in every region. So I have to now read all their stories, edit to send it back to them. What I used to do was that if a story is bad, I would just rewrite it. Now I don't want to do that anymore. If a story is bad, I'm going to throw it back to you. You're going to rewrite your own stories because I feel like it's going to help you. It's really sad if you bring a story to me and I change the whole thing. I'm sure you're going to wonder, why did you edit it so thoroughly? What's wrong? But if I tell you that this is where the error is, this is where the problem is, it helps you to also not make the same mistake the next time. So editing it takes the whole of my day actually. Then at 1 p.m. I go eat something. I come back to my correspondence, my 16 days. I just attend to them again, just throughout till 5 p.m.
Wow. What would be advice to a young girl in some village who wants to be in the media space but doesn't want to be on radio or TV? And they want to be on online, but you know, writing comes with a lot of skill. You need to be really skilled. I mean, it's very easy to talk, like they say, talk is cheap.
Yeah.
But when you have to put pen to paper, it's a different ball game altogether. So, for a young girl who wants to become like what you're doing now, what would be your advice to them?
I'm pretty sure the first article I wrote was horrible. If I'm not missing words, I'm very sure the first article I wrote was very bad. You are going to make mistakes, and every media house have their house style. So it depends on where you are at. But writing is writing. So what you're supposed to do is read a lot. When you read, you sometimes visualize, or it depends on who you are. But when I read, I visualize. I keep the big words. I write it down, I go research, and I want to use it. When I use it, I want to write it down. When I use it, I want to write it down. So make sure you're always reading. Make sure that you are always on the internet looking for the good stuff, not the bad stuff, learning opportunities, because opportunities are there waiting for you. Trust you me, if you're 16 or you are just 15, in the next 10 years, the opportunities will still be there waiting for you. But are you ready to grab the opportunity? Are you ready to make sure that when opportunity avails itself, you are easily ready to grab it and just hug it and just explore with it? So do not sit down waiting for you to be 25 or 30 before you start, learn, because now the age is getting closer. Start learning now. Start reading now. Start researching now. It's going to go a long way. Trust you me.
What are some of the challenges in your field of work?
So I think it's going to vary from person to person. But personally, my challenges, I think I've overcome them all. I mean, it's not to brag, but I have done this for a couple of years, and obviously you learn from your mistakes. You don't repeat them. So I'm very sure the first article that I wrote was thrown out. It wasn't really edited because it was bad. That was really sad and that was very emotional for me. So the next one obviously is going to make me learn and make me write it better. So my very first article that wasn't published was really sad. It made me very angry. It made me very angry, but it kind of triggered an emotion in me that wanted more, wanted better, wanted something better than the past article that I wrote. So sometimes the article being rejected is really not fun.
So you really have to channel the pain into purpose.
Exactly, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Now, wrapping up, it's International Women's Day. A lot of women in this country and around the globe working their butt off to go into boardrooms, executive room, making decisions, putting food on the table for the awards. What will be your goodwill messages to all women around the world, especially on International Women's Day? That's your camera, please.
But before that, I would like to talk about something that I really wish would be improved when it comes to women in media. When you apply, I talk about applying for fellowships and opportunities a lot. But when you check the criteria for these things, they tell you that you have to be between the ages of 25 to 35. I know I'm very lucky I fall within that age group, and I'll be falling into that age group quite a long time to come. But it just saddens me that it just ends at 35. And I know the expectation is that by 35, you've given birth or you're married with 2 kids or 3 kids running around in your home. That means they don't trust you to do the job. I really wish it's going to get to a time where that age bracket, 25 to 35, is just going to be taken off. Women are 50 and they are doing amazing things. Single girls are doing it, married ones are doing it, divorced ones are doing it. So that age bracket is really something that I really wish will be taken off completely when it comes to criteria and applying for these kind of opportunities that I talked about.
So that was just a brief chit chat I just had with Winifred Lartey, a staff here at Asaase Radio, very fantastic member of our digital team, working around the clock to establish that all the stories you see online are verified, they are fact-checked, and they are really credible. On International Women's Day, we couldn't have been more happier to have her on and also spotlight her achievements.